What's up, guys? We are wrapping up the last of the 3 Mythic Legions Coliseum figures I recently got a hold of from 4 Horsemen Toy Design, with a figure that I have really been looking forward to for quite a while. The design, the idea behind him, everything really speaks to me. So today we're going to be taking a look at the counterpart to Adamon, Keltuss. So where Adamon is Prince Adam, He-Man in Mythic Legions form, this guy, Keltuss, is Keldor Skeletor in Mythic Legions form. So you've got a purple armored blue skeleton. I mean, how cool is that? So we've got him on that same style card art, same style packaging that we've seen with the other figures I've shown. So he's there in the bubble, but you can take him out, you can put him back in. It's all collector friendly. The front just has him in that bubble there with the Legions logo. The side has a bit of a bio, bit of a write-up for Keltuss, and then the back with that same card art and bit of cross-sell that we've seen previously. So let's pull this guy out and take a closer look. So here he is out of the package, and this is a figure, like I said, that I have really been looking forward to, just from the overall look and design, not even considering the whole Skeletor aspect of him. So we're going to do articulation and paint and sculpt, and this guy comes with so much stuff that we do have a lot of different quote-unquote configurations to look at. So we'll kind of change some parts out, look at all his weapons and accessories, and see what he has to offer. So we're going to start off here with articulation, and if you saw my previous Mythic Legions reviews, you kind of know what to expect. It's very similar. So we've got a ball peg for the head, so we can swivel all the way around, up and down, kind of bobble side to side. The arms can go all the way out, and the armor will move to allow that movement to occur. We got swivel at the shoulder. We have rotation at the elbow, a single jointed elbow. We have got rotation at the forearm, rotation at the wrist, and then a hinge there as well. We do have a ball peg in the torso at the waist, so you can move him around, swivel, hunch him over, move him back a little bit. The legs can go all the way out, so you're looking at basically full splits. There is nothing at the thigh, though, and I understand why, because there's really no way. I mean, you don't have a lot of plastic there, so there's not much to do in terms of making a swivel joint here. And honestly, I think it would be very ugly to look at, so I'm okay with that. I understand the limitations of the fact that he's a skeleton. We do have rotation at the knee, though. We do have a single jointed knee, so it's very similar to the other figures. And then we've got the ball down here at the ankle with hinge. We've got full rotation at that joint, and then rocker as well. So that's the same thing that we've seen with the other figures. The only real difference is that he doesn't have any kind of thigh cut for rotation or swivel there. As far as the overall look and feel, sculpt, and paint for this figure, I'd say they absolutely knocked it out of the park, with one exception that I'm going to get to here in a minute. There are some shared parts here, which is kind of the norm. That's not too crazy. It's not too out of the realm of possibility for these figures. So we do have the same gauntlets and same lower legs and feet as on Rhaegor, and then the belt is also the same on Rhaegor, but not the loincloth piece. So this big buckle is really what's the same. But as far as the figure itself goes, I mean, how could you not want a bright blue skeleton? I think he looks just perfect, honestly. That skull head is out of this world. Tons of wash in there. Really brings out all of the cracks and the nooks and crannies in that skull. Everything about the look and feel of this figure is great. Obviously, the Skeletor aspect of the purple and blue really comes out here. This is more blue and purple than Skeletor is, really, but I think it's just fantastic. We do have the ports on the back, this mystery port, which I still don't know what it is, but then these two for some accessories. We've got all the straps hanging down. I love this belt buckle. Tons of intricate detail in there with the skull and all these designs, and then the line work and all of the sculpted detail on these gauntlets and on these boots and the shin guards. Everything about him just screams kind of sword and sorcery type of look. And then the paint job on him, I think, is pretty stellar. The blue in this skeleton is so rich and vibrant. It's just absolutely great, and it goes very well against the metallic sheen of this purple, which has a nice patinaed look on it. It looks old, it looks worn, it looks pitted and kind of rusted and battle hardened. So again, he looks about as perfect as I could want him to be. My only real gripe, and it's the same thing I talked about with Adamon and Rhaegor, is that the joints in the elbows and the knees got painted with the arms. That's not so big of a deal on its own, and like I mentioned with those two figures, it doesn't really bother me, but it's a little more evident here because the joints are not as close to the paint as they were on those other figures. So it's just something to note. You know, I'm scraping paint off in those joints. I understand that they aren't really intended to be painted, and they are going to scrape off over time, but it's not as clean of a transition from joint to skin tone or bone tone here as it is with Adamon and Rhaegor. So it's not a huge knock, it's just a, hey, it's a thing I've noticed, I might as well talk about it. But that's about it. Otherwise, it's pretty flawless in execution. Now, as far as accessories goes, this guy has a ton of stuff. We've got multiple weapons, we've got multiple heads, we've got multiple armor pieces. He's really got quite a bit of stuff going on. So we're going to talk about a few real quick, and then we'll talk about some of his different configurations that we've got. So the first thing we've got is this little dagger. Rhaegor had one of these. Pretty standard, it seems. He does have a slot on his belt to holster it, and I will mention I do have a slight QC issue with this figure that I can fix. It's just not fixed yet. This actual strap, it's glued and pegged into the belt, and the peg is not staying on mine. So it doesn't really hold this dagger very well. I need to glue it back in. Just haven't done it yet because I wanted to talk about it now. But this little dagger, just purple metallic with some non-metallic and then some black on it. And then we've got the same sword that we've seen with the other figures. Same kind of scheme here with the metallic purple, the non-metallic purple, and then the black hilt. And you can get him to hold it in either hand just fine. And yeah, it's just a standard sword. So it's his power sword, so to speak, in terms of if you want to talk about He-Man. But we do also have some armor pieces as well. So just like Rhaegor, he has got these big pauldrons that you can pop on his back. And you just attach them like so into those ports on his back, and then you've got him with these humongous pieces of armor on him. And this guy right here is also removable, so you can take that off or leave it on. It kind of gets a little scrunched when you have all of this stuff together, but I tend to like it. I kind of like that look in general with this piece of armor. So you've got a couple options already. You can leave these pauldrons off, you can put them on, and then he's ready for battle. But we do have other options in general that take into consideration other weapons and other heads. And first up, we've got this helmeted head here. So you just pop that head off, put this other one on. It's a ball joint, so you kind of know how that works. This is, of course, very, very similar to Rhaegor. The helmet is the same. The horns, however, are different. Just like Rhaegor, though, and I know I keep comparing the two, but there's a lot going on similar. We've got articulated horns, so you could pop them out. You could swap them with Rhaegor's if you wanted. It's the same kind of port. But this head also doubles as something else. And of course, I keep mentioning the fact that this guy is related in look and design to Skeletor, but it does go a little bit deeper than that because of even more stuff that they included with this figure. So this is kind of the big reason why he is the quote-unquote Skeletor of Mythic Legions. If this isn't a Skeletor look-alike head, I don't know what is. You can tell that this is an entirely different head, full different sculpt, and obviously the paint scheme is wildly different because this is very reminiscent to old Boneface himself. He of course has a Mythic Legion style cowl and helmet on, but you can just look at that skull and you can see kind of the Alcala style Skeletor in there with those deep sunken eyes and those gnarled teeth. So how could you not be excited to get this extra thing? I don't know if this is going to be my permanent head for this figure because I really, really dig that standard skull, but this is one of the coolest pack-ins for any figure I've gotten in a very long time. That said, there is still more to his overall Skeletor appearance. So what they did to kind of up the ante a bit in terms of his Skeletor appearance is they gave him basically the Havoc Staff. Now, this, however, doesn't look exactly like the Havoc Staff, but it's pretty close in terms of its design, its height, its length, and then just the overall color scheme. But of course, they had to go one further and give it a little bit of a different twist in how you can fully make it the Havoc Staff. So what they did, as you can see here, is they gave the tip of this staff a ball joint that fits exactly the size of the ball joint socket on the heads. So you take the helmeted head, you turn the horns down and pop it on there, and that kind of mimics the ram skull look of Skeletor's staff, but giving it a decidedly Mythic Legions kind of twist here. I think this is a cool little Easter egg thing they did here to give you even more options. Again, I'm not sure this is going to be my go-to look for this figure because I really, really, really dig that blue skull, but this is so cool, and he does look very, very menacing, very evil, and definitely very reminiscent of Skeletor, and that's obviously what they were going for, and this makes him fit in even more so with your Masters Classics figures. And of course, here they are next to each other, just for sake of comparison. You can get an idea of the inspiration drawn from Skeletor to make Keltuss. And overall, while they're very, very different, you can see, of course, you can see the similarities. You can see the similarities in the skull for this head. And just the overall purple and blue design is really the big thing here. Not to mention what they did for that staff to make it slightly resemble the Havoc Staff. I think it's just a great nod to a line that the Four Horsemen have been integral in for so long. And they finally got to do something a little fun and different in their own line by bringing characters that they obviously love into Mythic Legions. So yeah, at the end of the day, I mean, it's pretty obvious that I absolutely love this figure. My only real regret about this figure is that I should have bought more than one, just because he has so many options. I didn't really think I was going to get into the whole swapping parts and making the characters look different and unique. I usually don't, but for some reason, these figures is really bringing that out in me, and I just regret not getting more than one. Obviously, I do have a slight QC issue with that little sheath part on the belt, but if there's going to be a QC issue, it's good that it was that, and I can easily fix it, so it's kind of a non-thing, just something to point out. Beyond that, though, it has no other issues that the other figures don't have with the paint issues inside those joints. And I just love the overall aesthetic and look of this guy. Everything about him speaks to me in terms of what I think is cool and fun. So I am very, very happy to have him in my collection. So that's going to do it for this look at the Four Horsemen Mythic Legions Coliseum Keltuss figure. Let me know what you guys think. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share. And until next time.